Hey guys, welcome back to MFO. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Today we are going to be talking about the hot button bass fishing topics. What are the most controversial bass fishing topics in this industry, in the sport? These are the kind of topics that get comment sections lit up, videos blown up, guys debating things in the boat while they're fishing, talking about it at the boat ramp. And quite honestly, if you're like me, calling your buddies up and going, did you just hear about this or did you talk about this? These are the 5 controversial topics in bass fishing. I'm not taking sides. I'm just giving you the facts, maybe a few opinions, and probably a reason or two for you to yell at me in the comment section. But let's get into it when we come back. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. All right, we'll start out, and these are in no particular order, but the first one that I'm going to throw out in terms of a controversial issue in bass fishing is, do you use live bait or do you use artificial? Now, the purists are going to tell you that the real skill comes from using artificial lures. You're fooling the bass with the technique and the presentation, and it's all about you. But then you got the guys who say, hey, if it's legal, why not use it? The reality is that live bait absolutely catches more fish. Just go down to Florida and watch a guy on a shiner boat catching fish and catching big bass while you can't catch a fish on a chatterbait. But, artificial lures give you more control. It's more of a challenge. It's kind of the comparison to me between bow hunting and gun hunting. I do both up in Wisconsin. Bow hunting to me seems much more of a sport, much more of a natural pursuit. Gun hunting seems more like a harvest. But that's just my call, and I'm curious as to what you think about it. For sure, live bait is hard to beat when the bite is tough. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not going to go as far as saying that live bait should be allowed in tournament competition. I don't know. What do you think? Let's go to our second topic. And this one everybody was expecting, and that's forward-facing sonar. Some anglers say it is the future. You can literally see fish swimming under your lure in real time. It's like playing a video game. Other people say it's just too much tech. It removes the challenge. It's basically, it takes away the mystery, and it takes away that fisherman's instinct that we've all honed over years and years of experience. We know the arguments. Again, the controversy has to do with, should it be allowed in tournaments or shouldn't it? I'm telling you, from a guy who uses it, first of all, it isn't just like shooting fish in a barrel. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I'm just saying that, and you've heard a lot of other guys say that. But the other part of it is that it's absolutely, the more you use it, the better you get. And some of us guys who don't have the experience using it, that didn't grow up on it, are just, at a loss. I'm going to give you a quick, I was just with my 3-year-old grandson over the weekend, and the reality is that 3-year-old scrolling through videos, he can do that so much faster than me, and he knows what he's doing, and he's 3 years old. Why? Because he's seen it since he was born. I looked at that and said, oh my God, that's forward-facing sonar. When you came into the sport using that as your first introduction to the sport, you know everything there is to know about it. You've got so much more advanced skill than I've been using a phone for more years than my 3-year-old, but he still is better at it than I am. That's what happens with forward-facing sonar. Let's move on to number 3, guys. Now, the third most controversial topic in bass fishing has to do with catch and release. For most anglers, it's all about the catch and release. Take the picture, high five your buddy, and let the fish swim off, fight another day. We've kind of been, if you're a tournament angler, you've kind of been inbred to do this. You don't keep the bass. You might go fishing for walleye or bluegill or something like that to have dinner, but bass, it goes against the grain to keep a bass to eat. But some people believe that selective harvest, and quite honestly, it's true. Selective harvest, especially taking smaller fish out of overcrowded lakes, is actually a benefit to the ecosystem. And yet we've gotten it in our head that, taking fish out of there, that's just a bad thing. Every fish goes back. Hey, some folks grew up eating what they caught. That's tradition. There's no controversy there. It's just tradition. And guys, I think this is one that you really kind of look at and have to look inside of you and go, I've been taught one way, but that doesn't necessarily make it 100%. But again, a big controversial topic in the world of bass fishing. The fourth, and this is kind of related, tournament fishing. And I know I'm talking to a lot of you guys out here who watch the channel. Tournaments these days have got a bad rap. Tournament anglers get a bad rap. It doesn't matter whether it has to do with the fact that they're ruining the lakes, the fact that they are driving around really, really fast and there's accidents, the fact that they kind of have this attitude like, hey, this is our lake, you're in our way, get out of the way, I'm fishing here, I have more right to be in this spot than you do. All of those things that, and cheaters. Let's not leave out the fact that with social media, if there's somebody who cheats, we all know about it right away. And it makes everybody look bad. Even though the numbers are probably really, really small for those that do cheat, when we all see it, we all think that everybody's doing it. And the reality is there's definitely things that tournament circuits can do to reduce that public opinion. Whether it's catch and release tournaments and not have weigh-ins, therefore reducing the fish kill. Whether it's, having tournaments that don't have a shotgun kind of a start where boats have time to get out to their spots, fishing time starts, and then fishing time ends, and they aren't racing around and those types of things. Using digital scales to measure and then release fish. All of these things can help to relieve some of the misconceptions and the bad look that tournaments have to the general population. But on the other hand, the reality is tournament fishing is a negative look. And one more thing about this is that tournament fishing used to be the place. If you were a lure manufacturer or a boat manufacturer, tournament anglers were the guys to sell those products, to hype those products, to inform the public about those products. Well, nowadays with YouTube, tournaments aren't that valuable. And so there's less of a need to keep those tournament organizations. I'm not saying it's gone all the way, but the reality is, I can tell you just based on sponsorship dollars that there's less of a priority on being a tournament angler, more of a priority on being a content creator. So all of that goes into it. And finally, the fifth controversial item is invasive species. Some states are stocking Florida strain bass in northern waters because they grow huge. Others say that it messes up the ecosystem. And then there's the invasive side, like gobies and carp and zebra mussels, different weeds and things like that. Things that are brought into, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, to a specific ecosystem, which literally changes the ecosystem. Lakes that were once certain species of fish only are now smallmouth havens, and big smallmouths are growing there because the invasive species have made it into a lake that is perfectly conducive for smallmouth bass. Do we step in and manage nature, or do we let nature take its course? That is a debate that I don't see ending anytime soon. And as much as we may love going to a lake for giant smallies, are we doing the right thing when it comes to it? And I'm going to use that as the final say here in terms of a lot of times when we look at things that are controversial, it might be related to what's best for the overall sport, the overall ecosystem, the overall good of the planet versus what do we like and what do we want right now. And to be honest, some of that, guys, that's what controversial boils down to. I want this, but I probably really shouldn't have it. And that fight, there's always going to be 50% of the people who are looking at this is the way it should be. And there's the other 50% that are looking at it saying, yeah, but this is what I want right now. I'm wondering what you guys think about this. The other thing, quite honest, before I let you go is, are there others that I forgot? These are the 5 that I came up with. I'm curious, did I miss a topic altogether? I'd love to hear your comments about these 5 and whether or not you think I missed one. Guys, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you again tomorrow on another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.